All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we're quickly hopping into this one as we are live, and so is NASCAR Busch Series racing on NASCAR 07. Headed down into that first turn with the pole for Jimmie Johnson, and trying to go on our way to hopefully winning the first career Busch Series championship for Johnson. Won this season, showed a lot of pace in practice. Qualifying was pretty good. I feel great about the car, honestly. And we're going to lead the opening lap of the day. Fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying. Seems as if we're not going to really pull away much, but got to make sure I don't get too much of the apron. That's the big thing. Keep this track position. I think we've got enough straightaway speed in it. We should be able to have a pretty solid go at it. Kyle Busch up into that second place position here in the early laps. Busch still fighting for a championship as well as he sits second in points. Jimmie Johnson won the most recent race, so he's trying to go back-to-back here tonight. It's going to be either a one or a two-stop race today. It'll be interesting to see what the fuel window is going to look like as we get deeper into this one.
The 5 car is making its move high.
Definitely don't have that pull away speed compared to the rest of the field, but this thing just grips up so much in the corners. It feels great. One car got up against the wall, it looked like, in turns 3 and 4 the last lap, but we didn't get a caution for it. So we do continue to stay green. The good thing with qualifying on the pole is we have to make sure that we lead every lap. Try to go wire to wire and keep Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch from leading any laps today, if we can help it. I mean, they're second and third, like it seems like we are off the start every single race with these guys. Just really stinks that Jimmie Johnson had 3 DNFs in a row a few races ago. Ended that streak with a win, of course, again last night, but it's a bummer way to try to finish out the home stretch on this season, and really for Tony Stewart, who finished 4th in the most recent race. He's just got to finish races and he'll win the championship with these. Try to get the second in points at least on Kyle Busch, just in case something is to happen to Stewart in these final 5 races, that maybe, just maybe, there's a chance JJ can make a historic comeback. We can come back down 368 points in the final 5 races. I don't know what I'd do. I'd have to do something special on the channel, I feel. Got good racetracks for us, though. This is, I think, going to be a good one. I feel like Phoenix is going to be a good one. Another 1-miler that's flat, just like this racetrack. You know, Bristol I finished second at earlier this season. Really, it's just that season finale at Daytona is the only tough track for me, but if we don't go into Daytona with even a shot mathematically to win the championship, then, you know, it's not going to matter anyway. Tony Stewart, I don't know what happened to him, but he isn't in the top 3 anymore. Oh, there he is. He's hiding behind Busch. So Stewart currently in 4th.
Number 17, closing the gap behind you.
Johnson trying to get a max point stay here. Got the win at Watkins Glen in the last race, but didn't lead many laps. That was despite qualifying on the pole there as well. Honestly, I don't think I've had a car that feels like this stable in a while on this game. It just cuts the corner beautifully. I mean, it'd take a lot for me to miss the bottom of the racetrack. Could happen here and there. I feel like it'll be more likely to happen if I'm just not paying enough attention more than anything. It could happen in a 200 lap race. It's happened to me before.
The 17 car is looking right.
Stewart did get back to third, passing Kyle Busch that last lap. And trying to get a run after Matt Kenseth for second. Keeping a low exit to these corners too, it seems to really help, because the straightaway speed I might be lacking a little bit, but just having this downforce in the corners I think is just so crucial here. And again, it's big that we don't fall behind either. It's one thing to start up front, it's another thing to stay up front, which I've kind of struggled with over the last dozen races, I feel. Most of the 12 wins we have was early in the year, when we were leading in points earlier in the season. The feel of this feels like two things. It feels like a modified race just because leaders are kind of packed together, not pulling away, and or it feels and it's going to take probably 2 DNFs for Tony Stewart to not win this championship. Either that or 1 DNF and just a really bad finish. And we're going to obviously have to just stay hot the rest of the year. There's a chance with 1 DNF, though, Kyle Busch gets within 100 points and really makes it interesting there. But for us to win the title, probably going to need 2 DNFs out of Stewart. Tar Heel Enigma and Patrick Chadley, thanks for tuning in. 20 laps in. Zachary K, thanks for tuning in also. Watching IndyCar. I didn't realize their race was at night tonight. I know they're running a doubleheader at Iowa. A big run by Stuart Johnson led that lap. Tony trying to sideswipe Jimmy Johnson. Knocked me out of shape getting down into turn 1. That might actually cost Stewart a position more than Johnson. Johnson holds on to it. Busch looks to get the second. A big old run off turn 4 that last time. I feel like I have more grip on the apron in the race for some reason than what I did in practice. Because in practice, this thing was just sliding all over the place if I got down there. Crash on lap 1, that stinks. only the tip of the iceberg. I mean, the beginning, yeah, it is very early. A lot can happen in this thing. I mean, there's really no pressure on me to perform anymore because we're just so far back that it's going to take a miracle anyway to win the championship. So I'm just really hoping that Tony Stewart blows an engine. Just he does it once. It gives us at least a chance. He does it twice. We've got a real good chance, but it just stinks. His last DNF at Talladega, we also DNF'd in that race. Like, that was the race we really needed to capitalize. And that was the first of 3 DNFs in a row we had. So we did it there, and, you know, we came out of the race. We were still like 60-something points back. It wasn't bad, but 2 more DNFs the next 2 races after that, one of which Tony Stewart was able to win, and it just really snowballed after that. They moved IndyCar to CNBC. That's tough. Big dive getting into the first turn there for Johnson. A little loose in. This really does feel like a modified race. This doesn't feel like a Busch race here. None of us pretend like racing is bigger than politics. Hey, it's bigger to me. Is that what the special report's all about? It is election year. This time of the year, it'd either be that or it'd be the Olympics. Oh, we made it to lap 30. The lead's still intact. And we'll know when we get right around lap 50 about how much fuel we'll have in this thing to try to make it to the end on just one stop.
The 5 car is moving up on you quick.
And one car slow in the back straightaway. Just getting into turn 3 right now. We'll have to see who that is. But we have our first retiree of the race. And they'll make it to pit road. Couldn't tell exactly who it was, but it looked like one of the fantasy drivers. You know, I'm kind of hesitant that if I lost the lead, if I'm actually fast enough to get it back, because this is the only thing that kind of scares me right now. We really got to execute when we get to pit road. This pit crew's been fumbling pit stops off and on over the last several races when we were in that slump, too, so it wasn't like it was just me. A bit of an overdrive there. I caught it in the middle of the corner. feel like it's going to be a minute before we get into lap traffic, too. It's only lap 35, and I don't feel like I've really made much ground on the lap cars, at least. Which is good for me, though, too, because it leaves me out in clean air. It's another reason why I'm really able to just kind of hit my marks, not have to worry about anything, and feel like we have at least enough speed in it to hold the bottom, and got good pace through the middle of the corner that takes him the whole rest of the next straightaway for him to even get close to my back bumper. And then by that time we get to another turn and I gap them again, and they gap me back. It's not like they're using much of a draft down the straightaway to get to me either. They're just a little bit quicker on the horsepower side of things, it seems. A little bit more engine under their hoods. I really wish Tony Stewart wasn't in third. Like, why does this have to be like this? Switch to the 57 to get to the front two. I really don't want to lose the lead. I'm scared that if I swap right now, we're just going to get driven by, because that tends to happen on our driver swap, which I do flip through the field and through the teammates various times throughout the race. I just don't want to do it at this instant. Really like to get to that first pit stop of the day before I even think about it. Working on maintaining track position. I don't like that I'm like sweating already too. It is warm in my room. Pretty hot outside. I think it got up to like 98 today. Well, not temperature wise. I think it was like I feel like temperature was 98. It was in the upper 80s, but that's warm in the Midwest for me. My room, for whatever reason, doesn't get great central air. Doesn't get great central air, and it's typically colder in here in the wintertime too. So I don't know what that's all about. Ran our fastest lap, 28.463. The fastest lap, and they're still just right there. See Aaron Crocker in fifth, kind of creeping up into the picture. And somebody just behind her as well. Ah, there we go. Now I missed my corner. And that is going to allow Kyle Busch to lead a lap. Maybe, yep, he did. Busch did lead that lap. A little contact down into the first turn between the 48 and the 5. Missed my corner one time, and he was right there. Try to get him back. So the second place points getter gets a lap let in. Really want to make sure Tony Stewart doesn't lead, though. Johnson right back out in front and clear off turn 4. Yeah, just missed it one time. I was quick enough to get back around him, though, that next lap, so. Bushwhacker era, Busch Series. Third of the field is Cup drivers, so hard to get him to the finish. Yeah, especially, I mean, I'm down by this much. That's what I mean. Like, he'll have to DNF at least once, if not twice. Kyle Busch, I feel like I could catch outright. It'd be close, especially if he runs as good as what I'm doing here tonight again, as he consistently is doing on top of Tony Stewart. Busch really only had that one DNF. I'm trying to figure out why he's as far back and to Stewart as what he is. He did get his 5 bonus points. Busch going a bit wide through 1 and 2. Should hold on to second for now, although Stewart does appear to be underneath him. I don't even know if we're going to catch lap traffic before we get to the first pit stop at this rate. And we still haven't hit halfway out of gas yet, getting to lap 47 at the line. Right there. Then we're going to try to push this as far as we can. Maybe it becomes a fuel mileage situation where Tony Stewart can only make it on 2 stops and most of the field can make it on 1. Maybe he gets a terrible finish that way. And then he gets a DNF and then we're back in the hunt. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here at this point. Hoping for the best. I did my job at Watkins Glen, got the win. I'm doing my job tonight by keeping him out of the lead. He did lead laps at the Glen, and there it is. So, yeah, we're halfway out of gas at lap 48, so we're going to be a couple laps short of being able to make this race on 1 stop. We get 1 or 2 cautions, I think we'll be able to make it on 1 stop, but we have not seen a yellow yet. We're at lap 49 now. I mean, honestly, I think I just try to ride it out, hope for a caution for the moment. I'll probably end up pitting under a yellow flag circumstance just to be safe. Yeah, we're going to be a few laps short to get to 100. So really, we're about 2 to 3 laps short on both sides, which means we're about 5 to 6 laps short total. I don't know that we're going to be able to save 6 laps under green, especially the lead this tight. Lift and coast. Yeah, it's way too early. We can't be doing that. 150 laps left. I'd like to think we're going to get a caution at some point. I really don't want to think about saving fuel right now, and nor do I think we can really save 6 laps of gas. Plenty of time to do it, but just, you know, I'd be giving up so much track position with top portion of the field just right here on the back bumper of the 48. Just gotta hope that everybody else in the field is on the same kind of strategy at this point. Between that and, again, just really hoping that we get a caution. The sooner, the less nerve-wracking, I will say, but at the same time, if we end up getting it with 50 to go, we get it with 50 to go. I mean, we just... hope we can get that caution. Last 2 laps are the quickest of the race for Jimmy Johnson. Watch there not be a caution the entire race. I mean, it's possible. We've had it before. They're just few and far between. That'd be my luck the way the end of this season has gone. 3 laps in a row now. We've ran our quickest lap of the race. Getting quick in the middle of the fuel stent for some reason here. The right front's wearing out a little bit. I mean, you saw it on the upper right-hand corner of the screen moments ago on the tire wear indicator. It's halfway worn through the run. Wow, 28.2. 28.297 that last lap. Well, it's nice to know we got a good long run car. Johnson and Stewart both pulling away. Everybody else behind him. Another incentive for me to try to stay out of the pits as long as we can here and hope Tony Stewart doesn't lead any laps. Problem is with him running in second, if he's still in second place by the time we end up having to pit, if he stays out one lap behind me, he's going to end up leading the lap just based off that alone. Cardinals won 11-3. Yeah, I heard they scored 9 runs in the first inning. I also, during the course of the Xfinity race, didn't get to watch it or anything. Right as soon as the stream was over, though, earlier with the Xfinity race coverage, so my Detroit Tigers came back. They were down 5 runs on the bottom of the ninth. On the Dodgers, nonetheless. Down 5 runs on the bottom of the ninth on the Dodgers. Came back to tie it 9-9 from 9-4. And then bottom of the 10th, they won the game on a 2-run walk-off homer. That was after the top of the ninth. They got out of a bases-loaded jam with 1 out. Turned a double play and then walked it off in the bottom of the 10th. Wild game. Probably the wildest that Detroit's had this season. By way of a win, at least. They almost came back on Cleveland the other day, too. They were down 6-0 against Cleveland, and they ended up tying it up at one point. And then they ended up losing 7-6, but made a run out of it. Like twice in the same week, they were down by 5-6 runs, and they end up at least coming back to tie it in both games, and one of them they won. The fact that they did it all in the 9th inning today, though, is absurd. Well, you can see the back of the field up here, but still a lot of clean air for Johnson. For 5 to 6 laps short on fuel to make it on 1 stop, so really hoping for a caution at some point here so we can more than likely end up pitting during the yellow. I don't want to risk it and hope we get 2 cautions and then like barely make it on fuel. I think I'm just going to pit if we get a yellow, even if everybody else stays out. Especially if it's in the first half of this race. I think we'll have the speed to be able to try to make a run at it. Maybe go right sides only during the green flag stop then if we have to try to leapfrog some more track position. Because, I mean, the tires are wearing out, but they're not like, it doesn't feel like it. On the tire wear indicator they are, but running at a pretty solid pace. We have led all but 1 lap in this race. Lap 40 to lap 41 lap. It's the only one that we didn't lead from the pole, so. I mean, honestly, we hold on to the lead close to the green flag pit stop, cycle back into the lead. We'll end up clinching the most laps led with like 90-something laps to go still, so. Be nice to kind of get that out of the way at least. Up front made it 66 laps in the run before it started to wear out a little bit. Charlotte Knights got to be in the MLB. Is that like a minor league team or something? I don't even know who that is. Minor league. Is that double A or triple A? Probably triple A if I had to guess. I would assume it's triple A. Charlotte's such a big city. I'm surprised they don't have an MLB team. Aren't they like one of the top 10 cities in the U.S. The population? Triple A, yeah, I kind of figured that. Soup, thanks for tuning in. I don't really care, honestly. I didn't really hear anything about it. I don't really care to know. Try to keep politics off the channel, you know.
Take a look at the fuel gauge.
Quarter tank of gas. Yeah, still pacing to be about 3 laps short. 3 to 4 laps short. Probably end up pitting at lap 95, 96. By way of how the run's going right now. What's really going to make this interesting, though, is if, obviously, if it stayed green the whole way, but if it looked like anybody would have a chance of making this thing on one stop, or is everybody going to have to pit twice? Are you serious? Does that seriously happen? And I did not know about this? I kind of take my words back by saying I didn't care enough to... I literally didn't know what happened, so I apologize if that offended anybody. I really didn't know that that happened. Fastest lap of the day for Johnson again. Pulling away from Stewart through lap traffic. Happened about an hour ago. Well, that would make sense why IndyCar is on CNBC now. I didn't realize that's what happened. My goodness. It came until 8 o'clock, so I don't... It was about an hour ago. What would have happened before that? Grazed his right eye. That's terrible. Did this like just get reported an hour ago, or is this something that like actually happened an hour ago? His ear. Oh, okay, okay. Not that that's much better, but at least he has vision. Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be considered breaking news all the way through the night. That's insane. A few hours ago. I mean, was it like a rally, I'd assume? Pennsylvania. Yeah, I don't follow politics at all, so like I never, I got into like, oh, I wonder where, he's going to rally or, whatever political party goes wherever, whenever. I don't know when they go anywhere. That's wild. Yeah, hopefully he's all right. Hopefully he's going to be all right. On the other side of things, not that I want to get into it too much, because again, I kind of mentioned I don't follow, politics enough, try to keep it off the channel. But at the same time, I feel like that goes to show that some people tend to take it too far, too seriously, way too far in this instance. But
Watch your fuel.
man, we are burning through this fuel run quick. I honestly don't even know if I want to make it past lap 90 just to be safe here. I mean, I know I'm going to be short. It stinks that Tony Stewart's in second, so if I end up hitting before him, he's going to lead. Really started to pull away from everybody once we got into lap traffic. Johnson passing these lap cars much quicker than Stewart. Free race tomorrow is going to be weird. Yeah. Race is in Pocono, too. Obviously. Been doing commentary for it all weekend. For tuning in tonight, JC. By the way, work till 2 again tomorrow. Watching the race a little later. I don't know the exact drop of the green flag time. I know it's after 2:30, so I'm going live at 2. So Jimmy Johnson still trying to make this fuel run out. We are still caution free through first 86 out of 200 laps tonight. Big block by Casey Mears up off of turn 4. Got a 2.5 second lead for JJ. Led all but 1 lap in this race so far. It will be a 4-tire green flag stop. Obviously assuming it is going to be made under green. We'll take that first field pass of the race at the line this time. We'll swap back to Kyle Busch now that we've gapped Stewart just a little bit. See if that maybe saves fuel for Johnson for a bit longer. Run 2 laps with Busch, 2 laps with Vickers. And we'll see where the 48's at. So Busch has dropped all the way to 5th during this green flag run. 4.7 seconds off the lead for him. Got a run getting into turns 1 and 2. We'll get one of those spots back on Mark Martin. Oh, a little contact with Matt Kenseth. Hang on to it. And right back to 5th again. Knocked me down into the grass and got sideways. I tried to stay in the gas until I couldn't anymore. Almost spun back across the track. We need a caution. That wouldn't have been the right way to have it. And Brian Vickers is much further back in the field, currently in 14th place, coming to lap 90. And he's about 18.5 seconds off the lead. No more DNFs. I'm trying. We stopped the bleeding with our win at Watkins Glen in the last race. Was that Monday night last week? No, Saturday night, my bad. Saturday night last week. Hard to believe it's been a week since I played this game already.
There's some leaders coming in.
Well, so we've got cars pitting. It looks like Jimmy Johnson is coming into pit. Lap 91. So he'll surrender the lead for now. It'll be the first of the leaders onto pit road. I definitely could have made it a little bit longer. We got more cars pitting though.
Hold your line and keep this going. All clear.
So Johnson not the only one that pits well short of lap 100. This is definitely gonna, whoa, make for a weird race. It got really loose. Clip that inside wall. We don't need a caution to trap Johnson a lap down here. Swap to Kyle Busch this time by. Johnson cycled off of pit road. No, I guess we're going to stay out a little bit longer. Kyle Busch is in now. Vickers' car is way more unsteady than Busch or Johnson's. It can even get 2 tires on that apron like I can with the 48 or the 5.
The 125 car has finished its service and is looking to merge up ahead. Careful now.
This car in front of us, I think he's going to pit. Yep. So Vickers goes to the outside to get around him. That was a pass for second.
We got some work left.
Whoever the leader is about 8 seconds ahead of Vickers still.
Leaders are coming into pit. Car entering the track ahead. Come on now. Careful out there.
I'll just get my final swap with Kyle Busch done then. This time by at the line.
Got it.
And we'll go to the 5 car now. 57 of Brian Vickers just took the lead that last time by at the line. Whoever was out in front of him still has just now hit pit road.
It's going low.
More cars pitting this time off turn 4.
Outside, got one outside. No damage. All clear, bud.
Busch in 12th,
You're making it look
11th.
What's up high?
Vickers on pit road. Looks like everybody pitted shy of lap 100 then. So it's looking like a 2-stop race for the entire field
Whatever you need, you're clear.
as we continue to stay caution-free. I would assume that Jimmy Johnson will be the leader when everything cycles through. And there's still a couple cars that haven't pit yet. At 163, it looks like. Can't tell graphics on the PS2 of who that is. Somebody's still out on the track, though. Boy, another loose moment there for Busch.
Okay, we're clear.
Pushing too hard with everybody that isn't named Jimmy Johnson.
8 seconds back in the lead.
And we'll swap back to Johnson for the rest of the race.
Closing the gap.
Tony Stewart has gotten out ahead of him.
Watch the inside.
Yeah, there is one car, just one driver that has not pitted and stays out again, lap 99, this time by at the line. The thing is that Johnson and Stewart are only about 3 seconds behind that car, so they keep their pace up. They still should be able to beat him, even if he's able to make it all the way to the finish. I think Stewart was able to get a lap lead during the midst of green flag pit stops. Johnson underneath Stewart. Stewart hits him up off turn 4.
Still hanging on. Keep digging. We need to take
Johnson gets him back there on the front stretch.
lap 100. Keep going. Make sure to stay
It was his fault. I thought he was going to slam me into those tire barrels. That guy still has a pit. It's lap 100. Lap 101 this time by at the line. Yeah, whoever that car is, he is looking to make this thing a one pit stop here tonight. No caution. They're 4 wide up there. In the middle of turns 1 and 2. Right around where the race leader's at. And it sounds like that driver will be coming to pit road this time. Johnson trying to get by everybody who checked up. And Jimmy officially back in the lead. That driver made it 100 laps in pit. He's a couple seconds ahead of Johnson before he committed to pit road. I believe it was the 163. So for some reason this thing stays caution free the whole race. He might be the one to beat. Johnson out ahead by about 9/10 of a second on Tony Stewart. Really hope Tony just DNFs, but I don't know that's going to happen. Johnson shouldn't be all that much longer from clinching the most laps led in this race as well. Utter domination from the pole so far for JJ. Yeah, I heard about it. I was actually talking about the Tigers game earlier in the stream. I was excited when I saw that. I was watching a little bit of the highlights not long ago for the start of this stream. My parents almost went to that game today, too. Something came up. They weren't able to go. But they missed a good one. Stewart kind of closing in on Johnson a little bit, but I'm not worried about it. I know we're quicker than him in traffic. We get enough lap cars between us. We'll manage this lead perfectly fine, in my opinion. Barely lost your voice. If it was over that game, that's okay. Those kinds of things don't happen every day. Lucky to have something like that happen once a season, really, for your own team. Especially in the 9th inning, come back 5 runs. It's insane. $1.5 million miles out of a small block truck engine. Last NASCAR live comment. Well, we still got next week with Indy. I don't know that I'd be going to the Cup race 100%, but even if I did, I would still be doing commentary for Truck and Xfinity. That wouldn't be going to those. that was going to be the case well before this weekend came up anyway. So, yes, trust me, it's not the last live commentary stream for the Olympics tomorrow. For Cup, potentially. Buc-ee's is my favorite. I mean, honestly, I've been to Buc-ee's. They're pretty cool. I guess they're my favorite gas station. I mean, I like. It's kind of weird to have a favorite gas station in the grand scheme of things. It sounds odd. But if you've ever been to a Buc-ee's, I think you would probably understand and probably tell me I'm foolish not to pick it. So, yeah, there you go. One car has blown an engine. Middle of turns 3 and 4 right now. Not sure who it is. And it is another fantasy driver. Looked like the 119 car. So 2 drivers have blown an engine in the race. Unfortunately for ourselves, none of them is Tony Stewart. Stewart's still second off the lead in second place. I believe he has led at least a lap in this one by way of green flag pit stops. The only chance he didn't is if he pitted the same lap as Jimmy Johnson, but I don't think so. I think Johnson pitted 1 lap before everybody else during the cycling and pit stops. By the time we did get back around Stewart, it was before we had Stewart get back in the lead after green flag stops, so he definitely didn't lead a lap there. I did what I could. Got to stream something when NASCAR's off for a couple weeks. I mean, I plan on definitely doing more of these NASCAR 07 streams, especially over the weekends. Probably end up finishing this season. We might get through it next week, but if not, definitely the week after. This guy didn't give me a lot of room there. Trying to make our own room. What is he doing? Whoever that guy is hit me a couple times coming up off the exit of the quarter. Talk about crowding the leader. I'm really doing what I can to try to hold on to hope in winning this championship. I mean, Tony Stewart's at second. Like, he finished 4th in the last race at Watkins Glen when we won. Like, we're not getting many points. I mean, obviously, you'd have to DNF once or twice anyway, but it's like, I'd really like it to happen, you know, now. So at least I know that there's a chance these final 4 races instead of just hoping for the same thing every single race. That's what happens when you DNF 3 races in a row. Unfortunately for myself, 2 of them were because of glitches. One was my fault, which was Fontana, but Talladega, we had a weird pit road glitch. I stalled out there. I guess the other one wasn't a glitch necessarily, but I just blew a motor. Green flag run, blew an engine. And I led a bunch of laps in that race in Texas prior to that too, so that was a real bummer. It was going to be tough to win the title after the 2 in a row, but yeah, that 3rd one really did us in. Because if it wasn't for the 3rd one, we'd still be 2nd in points at least. 1 DNF out of Stewart, we'd definitely have a really good shot at still winning the title, but now 1, and we have to perform really, really well. Maybe still get a little help outside of that, if not 2 DNFs along with performing really well to win the title now. Well, speaking of blowing engines, Brian Vickers has just blew up for Hendrick Motorsports. The 57 car, so our teammate is going to be done for the day. He was running in 14th, the last we knew of. He's slow on the back straightaway right now and trying to get back to pit road. He is not on the apron either. Oh, I'm glad I saw that. I was able to get up and out of the way. Apron there, and he was just right in the bottom lane of the racetrack, right in the racing line. Still green. We have not had a caution. We're down to 77 laps to go. Vickers still winless this season for HMS. 2 wins for Kyle Busch, obviously 12 for Johnson. Jimmy looking for number 13 here tonight. Just ran his fastest lap of the race, 28.229 that last time by. Bernie Lamar in the 77 car now in front of us. Another car is blowing up. Casey Mears in the 42 has also blown an engine. So that's 2 engine failures back-to-back laps, and again, none of them unfortunately are Tony Stewart. So 4 drivers have blown up, still 75 laps to go. And again, still caution-free. Well, it's already past 8 p.m. Eastern, so yeah, they moved from what I've heard in the chat at least, they moved the race over to CNBC, well, about an hour ago now. Was the race already on Peacock, though, too? Was Peacock and NBC? Because I know with, like, the NASCAR races, the only time they're ever on Peacock is when they're on the, like, main NBC. But when they're on USA Network, for some reason, you can't watch on Peacock, which I think is weird. You would think the cable races would be the ones, if you had to choose one or the other, to have Peacock also air the race. I've always found that odd.
The 29 car is going to make it hard for you to get around them.
Well, this is going to be an interesting pass here because Kevin Harvick might be mad enough to try to hit Jimmy Johnson. Johnson going to try to put this 29 a lap down. Harvick's car bottoming out a little bit there. Same for Johnson. Only a 1.7 to 1.8 second lead Jimmy's got over Tony Stewart in second. Johnson to the inside of Harvick up off of turn 2. Can't get a good enough drive off to stay underneath him still. Please don't hit me. Hey, he tried to hit me. Get away from him. Yeah, send it. Don't hit me, don't hit me, don't hit me. Oh boy. Get back there. Jeez Louise. There goes my 1.8 second lead. Drive away from him. It's Stewart's less than a second off of us now. Cut the lead in half. Kind of 9/10 of a second. That was just unnecessary. Johnson and Busch make it to the end without blowing an engine. Yeah, that is a little concerning that a teammate of ours blew an engine already, but if Kyle Busch blows the motor, then I'm really going to be I'm going to be biting my nails a little bit to the finish. We know everybody's going to have to pit one more time, except for one other driver, that 163 car. He has a chance of making this thing on one stop. The thing is that I think Johnson's got enough pace to still be able to beat him with 2 stops. Should be able to, at least. Quickly got the lead back out to about a second and a half or so. Looks like Harvick's holding up Stewart too. Well, I guess if he was going to hold me up, he's holding Tony up also. I hope he tries to wreck Tony too. Knock him into the barrels. Smoke about to get smoked? I hope so. If Harvick's a rival of his, too. He's definitely holding him up, though. 29 car still in front of the 33. We continue to stay caution-free. 63 to go at the line now. I mean, I said we needed caution. I really don't think we do at this point. Now that I've seen almost everybody pit at about the same time, which was all prior to lap 100, I think we'll be okay still. Still gonna run this out as long as I can, but should be okay. Don't want to short pit and then get a caution and we're trapped a lap down. We clearly have a race-winning capable car. Good chance I end up eclipsing 1,000 laps led on the season also. Forget what I was at coming into the night. It was 800 something. Leading as many laps as we are here today. Very, very good chance I end up getting to 1,000 laps led on the season. 20% of those laps are going to be in the before it happened. .6, 1.7 seconds is the difference here between Johnson and Stewart. Bad as the rivals are in this game, that never be as bad as before, yeah. I feel like my car is just more unstable down the straightaways in this game where they hit me and I end up overcorrecting and I crash, where in 04, they hit me on the straightaways. I feel like I'm able to just kind of keep it in the same line at least. Jeremy Mayfield now trying to hold up Jimmy Johnson. Probably holding us up, hoping for a caution. Notice these lap cars have been harder to pass, not only the further through the field we get, but just getting deeper into this race. Still trying to hold out as long as I can. Johnson driving it hard into 3 and 4 there, and clears Mayfield. Up off the exit of the corner. Well, let me know in the chat. You think we're going to stay caution-free? The initial start was pretty good for me, double file. One thing I'd be scared about is like a really late race restart. I'd also be scared that if a caution comes out in the middle of green flag pit stops in the final 20 laps of this race, that we end up falling a lap down. We'll never be able to get it back that late in the going. That'd be the worst time to have it. If this was a track like Pocono or road course, I definitely would have pitted already, just in case we were to see a caution. Still be on the lead lap, but I just don't think that would be the case here. And even though I think Tony Stewart has led at least one lap today during green flag pit stops, if the off chance he didn't, and I do end up pitting, then he would take over the lead and he would get 5 bonus points. So there's that too. Even though I feel like he led, I can't 100% confirm it, because he could have pitted the same lap as me. He definitely pitted at least within a couple laps of me. When I cycled out, I was just behind him, so this would have been a fairly slow stop in the 48 as well. That being said, because we had about a 2.5 second gap built up on him before the pit stop started, and he still came out of the pits ahead of us. And I don't think he pitted before us. $50 laps to go this time by. And again, as far as we know, 4 drivers have blown an engine in this race. I think Kurt Busch was inside the top 10 before the green flag stop started as well, and he's the next car for us to lap. Obviously, with it going caution free through 150 plus laps, I mean, you would expect us to lap this deep in the field. But even with that being said, again, we only have a second lead over Tony Stewart. So despite how quick we are in this one, leading as many laps as we are, Stewart's not falling well behind. Chat, thanks for tuning back in. Do we have enough fuel? No, we do not. But it does look like that's going to be the case for almost everybody. There's only one driver that was able to make it to lap 100 before pitting. And that was a fantasy driver who I think is far enough off the lead that we should be able to cycle past him during this green flag stint on these tires. Because we were about 3 seconds behind him when we initially came out of the pits. I'd like to think we can make up about 3.5 seconds on him over the course of, you know, the next 100 laps or so. Plus, especially when we get fresh tires back on this thing one more time, too. Really, I might end up going fuel only just to be safe on that, because the tires will definitely hold up to the finish.
Still alongside. Double time.
That'll ensure that I'm going to come out well ahead of Tony Stewart also, even with a mistake on pit road. Fastest lap of the race, 2 laps in a row now. Middle of the run, just like I did in that first tire stint in the first half of the race. Just after lap 50, I was running my quickest laps of the race at that time, too. Yeah, I saw Chandler Smith was upset for something over Sam Mayer. Saw a clip of that posted on YouTube. Got up in the window now, they were just yelling at each other. No punches thrown. Definitely had tempers. Yeah, I don't know what it was all about, honestly. Two-year anniversary. I thought you said it was 3. Couple comments ago. Was it? I gotta think. It was definitely raining that day, and last year obviously was pushed back. I don't remember 2022 having rain. I think 21 had a little bit. But it wasn't last year. It's 22. I'm trying to remember the rain that day, because it was definitely raining, or it was about to rain, or something of that nature. But I know it wasn't last year with the rain. Or lack traffic to come by here. So they start running us down in this cleaner air for the moment. And kind of pull away from them in the middle, just trying to manage this lead. Another reason for me to not take 4 tires, just in case we have a mistake on pit road in the final 20 laps. I don't want that to be the reason we don't win this thing. Because, I mean, we have just utterly dominated this race by way of laps led. I'd hate to not win it. Left sides will definitely hold up to the end. So looking at right sides only when we do end up pitting. Definitely won't have to pit till we get under 15 to go. So we still got about 30 laps until then. Caution could come out still. Field's about as spaced apart now as they will be the entire rest of the race. Stewart now within about 0.7 of a second of the lead. As long as we get through these lap cars smoothly, like I said, we should be all right. I really don't want him to lead, even if he ends up, you know, even if he has led a lap already. I don't know that that's 100% the case. Definitely got to make sure we don't speed on the pit road either. Still have to execute. Lap car staying on the wide side, out of the way of Johnson at least. And Boyer holding the bottom on the back straightaway. I believe he's still on the lead lap. And Johnson in the 48 car looking underneath him. Center of turns 3 and 4. Can drive off for the 2. 28.121 that last lap. Fastest of the day for the 48. And Boyer goes a lap down.
Outside, got one outside. The 118 car, just looking for some room to get by it. Clear all around.
.30 to go. Definitely quickly pulled back away from Stewart again. That's all we needed was to get into this wave of more lap traffic. Two seconds ahead. I don't really think I've been more than 3 seconds ahead of Stewart this entire race. Johnson gets by Sorensen. Dives underneath Paul Menard. Menard went down to try to side draft. He was already at least 1 lap down. And now he's at least 2 down. Three wide for a brief moment there. He turns 1 and 2. Saw a bunch of lap cars 4 wide at one point earlier. Again, a pretty mellow race by way of going caution free to this point. There it is, a 3-second lead again for Johnson. Fuel only. I'm going to take right sides just in case, because that right front tire was definitely worn out quite a bit over the course of the run. But I'll keep the lefts on the car to the end. Get a caution before we end up hitting. I'll just end up taking 4, but looking at a right side only 2-tire stop under green flag conditions. Johnson got it in the back of Danny O'Quinn Jr. just a bit there in the middle of 1 and 2. And that puts him 3 wide off the exit of turn 2 on the back straightaway. Largest lead of the race for Jimmy Johnson. Almost 3.5 seconds ahead of Tony Stewart with 20 laps to go this time by at New Hampshire. Tell you what, this race going caution free, it has flown by. I mean, we're about to get a 200 lap race in New Hampshire done in a little over an hour and a half. Just a 2-stopper. 3.8 second lead. Stretched out even more that last time by at the line. Cars One Boy, thanks for tuning in. Blocked by the next lap car up in front of Johnson off turn 2. Just over a 4-second lead now. Yeah, the way the stages are laid out, it's definitely impossible. I thought last year there would have been a chance with the no stage cautions on the road courses that we could have seen a caution-free race. We came close. Indy and Watkins Glen, there was 1 yellow at both those races. They were both in like the first 10 laps of the race. And then the rest of the race went caution-free. I don't want to risk anything here, so I'm going to pit this time by. Just to be safe. Hate that Tony Stewart's going to end up leading, but don't want to ruin a race here. We got to make sure not to speed, and we do have other cars on pit road, so Johnson not the very first one in, and it'll be right side tires only for the 48. No adjustments, so again, right sides only for Jimmy Johnson. Into pit with 16 laps to go. So hopefully this should keep us on the lead lap with going right sides only. Just in case we were to get a caution, we'd cycle back out in front. Contact with the 8 car, Martin Truex Jr. Getting up out of the pits. So Tony Stewart out in front. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, my gosh. I thought we were going to get a caution there. Really didn't need a yellow, and I'm glad that wasn't one. I tried to duck in line behind him and about hooked him. And now Truex is upset with Jimmy Johnson. Jeez Louise, Keegan. About to throw this whole race away. Get my rhythm back. That time I got loose, about nailed the inside wall off turn 2. 4 cars pitting this time. I probably should go the rest of this race without trying to pass the 8 of Truex anymore. Kyle Busch is into pit. I probably don't need to pit. Or, well, what I meant to say is I probably don't I can't even talk anymore. Jeez Louise. It's a struggle these last couple laps. I was going to say I probably don't have to pass Truex. Oh, caution is out! Unbelievable. The yellow flag waves with less than 15 to go. Mark Martin just hooked the 125 car. Oh, this may be not a good idea. Now, Stewart's still out there. I have to pit for time. I only have the right sides on the car. So now we're going to have to pit for 4. A caution with less than 15 to go at New Hampshire. Only caution of the race. I mean, I'm glad I took 2 tires, because if I didn't take 2 tires, I would have been a lap down. The problem is now I have to come back down and change the lefts just to stay on equal strategy with everybody else coming out, so I'm not going to get burned on old tires. We really didn't need that. Tony Stewart won the race out of pit road. There was no mistake on that stop. It looked like we lost a couple spots. I don't know how far back we are. There aren't many cars on the lead lap, so I don't think we're going to be too far behind. But we're going to have to go. We're going to have to get up on it. Stewart leads. 9 laps to go at New Hampshire. Green flag back in the air. Mark Martin's arrival, and I'm going to have to pass him. I'm going to have to try to get by Tony Stewart. Good restart for Johnson. Quickly trying to get by the 6 of Mark Martin. Not clear yet. Trying to stay away from him. Big dive into turn 3 by Johnson. Makes the 3-wide pass for 3rd. Aaron Crocker overdrove the entry to turn 1. Just enough of the bottom left open for Johnson to try to make the pass for 2nd. Stewart to block. And we know Stewart's going to try to make his car wide. And he is not going to make this easy for Jimmy Johnson. Johnson trying to get underneath them off turn 4. Big block by Stewart. 7 laps to go. Stewart goes wide into turns 1 and 2. Johnson down on the apron, trying to get it to stick. Slides the rear tires just a bit. Almost clearing Stewart, but not quite. Going to take a deep dive into turns 3 and 4. Slides up and clear. Johnson back out in front. And Stewart never made contact with him, at least not yet. Still 6 to go. Johnson back in the lead. See if Crocker can get to 2nd and get by Stewart. She's going to get underneath him at least. I'd like for Tony not to finish 2nd, even though he's been running there most of the race. Just a few extra points we can get on him. I was really hoping Tony pitted first. Unfortunately, he didn't. He was the leader when the caution came out. Crocker clear. Got 5 laps to go. She's in 2nd now. Johnson continues to lead. Hoping Tony stays in 3rd. For Johnson's sake here the rest of the way. Nothing but clean air ahead for the 48 car. He's had the superior car all day long. Margin of victory is not going to indicate necessarily a beating on the field, but the laps led category should. Proctor goes a bit wide through 1 and 2. Stewart closes the gap on her. Three to go this time by. See if we stay green to at least the white flag. Looked like this race was going to go caution-free today, but our first yellow came out with about 12 laps to go. In the middle of green flag pit stops, which were the second and final stops at the time in the race, we ended up pitting a third time to try to get back on the tire strategy again, so we weren't going to be on old tires with going right sides only during the green flag stop to ensure we were going to stay in the lead lap because I knew we were going to pit early. So it all looks like it's going to work out in the end. And with that caution, Stewart is going to, if he doesn't get by Crocker, finish in third, which is one spot worse than he would have finished if we stayed green. So at least there's that. And he was going to lead laps anyway. So this might end up working out for the better for us, one way or another. White flag is in the air, though. Final lap of the race for Jimmy Johnson as he opens up his lead off turn 2. About a half a second ahead of Crocker. And he'll take that few car length lead into the final corner for the final time. Stewart may be in danger of losing another spot back to the line this time. He's got a car looking inside. No, Stewart does hang on to third. But Jimmy Johnson will go back-to-back, winning at Watkins Glen in New Hampshire 2 weeks in a row. I did what I could tonight. Why can't I burn out? It's not letting me do a burnout. What is going on here? I swear I didn't forget how to do it. I just did it in the last race. There we go. It's weird. I wasn't able to spin the tires. Well, there's another win. Number 13 on the year. Tony Stewart finishes third. Kyle Busch 7th. In the running for the championship, only 6 cars finished on the lead lap, and that was because of the caution in the middle of green flag pit stops there in the final 12 laps of the race. It's the only caution we had. 11 lead changes. Jimmy Johnson led 181 laps. The other lead changes were in the midst of green flag pit stops. Kyle Busch did lead for 1 lap earlier in the race. He actually flat out passed us. That was the only time anybody really passed us the whole race. That was around lap 40. Aaron Crocker led 3 laps during green flag stops today, finished second. Tony Stewart led 7, finishing third. Mark Martin finishes fourth. He led 1 lap. Irvin led a lap, finishing 5th. Clayton 6th. Kyle Busch 2 laps led for him, finishing 7th. Kenny Wallace in 8th. Matt Kenseth 9th. And Hans Good rounds out the top 10. 0.3 of a second margin to victory. 1 hour, 39 minutes, 47 seconds total time of the race. Average speed of 127.22 miles per hour. We'll see who all DNF'd. Saw at least 4 of them. Adams, Clark, Brian Vickers, Casey Mears, all blue engines today. They were the only 4 that DNF'd. That car that got into that crash, getting right hooked by Mark Martin late, that brought out the caution. Now for the 3 DNFs, probably we'd definitely be leading in points without 3 DNFs. Even with, with 1 of them, we'd probably still be leading. Next race is at Bristol Motor Speedway. Under the lights, 250 laps. It'll be a fun one. It'll be our second trip to Bristol on this season. Finished second in the first race there. Kenny Wallace actually won the first race. And we'll have Richmond, I believe, and Phoenix with Daytona. So a lot of short tracks here at the end of the schedule prior to the Super Speedway to finish things out. So we'll take a look at the point standings. Didn't get much. A lot of blown engines by HMS. Yep. Wonder how far back Vickers falls in points. I think he blew an engine. One of the races we blew an engine also. That 3-race stretch. So he's back to 7th in points. Still winless. Closing the gap on Kyle Busch at least. Busch falls behind Stewart. Stewart beat him, but we beat Tony. We only gained 20 points on him. 2 races in a row we've gained 20 points. He finished 3rd instead of 4th this time, but the difference is I got an extra 5 bonus points this race compared to the last race. I didn't lead the most laps at Watkins Glen. I did tonight at New Hampshire. But yeah, I led all but 19 laps, so I did what I could. We're just too far behind. 4 races to go. We're still going to need Stewart to DNF at least once, if not twice, for us to win the championship. But we'll keep digging. We'll keep trying at it. And probably looking at Monday night, I would assume, would be the next NASCAR 07 stream. So Monday night will be our Bristol race, 250 lapper. Hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. We will be live tomorrow for the NASCAR Cup race. That will begin at 2 p.m. Eastern on the channel, as Cup Series will be at Pocono. So that'll be the next live stream again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll go live for our Cup Series live commentary stream. Appreciate it as always. Have a good rest of your Saturday night, everybody. See you tomorrow.